Hello, Charter School family. Have you ever wondered who the people are behind the pacificcharters.org emails? Well, so have I. Welcome to the podcast where we meet the teachers, site and program leads, human resource specialists, directors, IT specialists, tutors, and every other member of this PCI family. Pacific Charters is made up of 6 unique schools and growing in California. We have over 3,500 students, so many parent and guardians, educators, and administrators. It takes a village to ensure our students have a personalized pathway to academic success. Let's meet the village. I'm your host, Rebecca Dietrich, and currently the site lead at Rio Valley Charter School, Broadway. Each episode, I will have the opportunity to interview members of the Pacific Charters community. Come along with me as we say, hello, PCI. Hello, PCI. I am here with Dr. Paul Keefer, and we're here for another episode of our Hello, PCI podcast. Hello, welcome.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for inviting me. This is very exciting, Rebecca.
I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for agreeing to be here. I'm going to start with just questions that I've been asking everybody as they come in the room, and we can go off topic and tangent and come back to the questions as we go along. But I'm sure that our staff want to know who you are and how you came to be part of the PCI family. So tell us the story of how you became part of PCI.
Yes, thank you. So it starts before PCI, and it was a time when actually I was working with Dan McLaughlin and Art Price and Marcy Bellecci, and I'm going to leave names off, but I was working with quite a few people at another charter school, and I was reporting directly to the superintendent, who was a newer superintendent, and he and I didn't always see eye to eye. And so at that point, Sonia Cameron and myself decided that we're going to try to start our own charter school. And so with the support of Dr. Rex Fortune and Gary Borden, we submitted a charter petition to what was then Rio Linda Union Elementary School District, and they approved it. And so Pacific Charter Institute was approved in 2004, and then our first day of school was in, I think, September, because we needed to get the advanced apportionment, but I'm not quite sure when that was. And so it started with one student. I said the story at PCI Day, but one student, and we had teachers that were interested in following us from the school at the district. And then, as I said in the story at PCI Day, we found a school. We found students and teachers without a school, and we were a school without students and teachers. And so we had a great relationship. And 20 years later, that's how it started.
Okay, and so Heritage Peak was our first charter.
Yes, and Heritage Peak was our first charter, and I think it's been renewed. It had to be renewed when the small elementary school district morphed into the large Twin Rivers district. So there was different iterations, and we've always been caught in the situations where the state makes changes or legal decisions make a change for how we operate. And so what's been great about all the people at PCI and all of my coworkers is their ability to change directions when we're forced to change, and yet we still land on our feet. And that's makes me very proud to be here and a proud member of the team.
It's a good team to put together. I
Yes.
like it. So I'm going to jump a little bit. So you started with Heritage Peak. We have Heritage Peak, Rio Valley, Sutter Peak,
Valley
View, and then
New Pacific
3.
Charter. Our first was Roseville. Our second was Rancho Cordova, and now our little newest school is Arden Arcade, and we're very excited about it. So all 3 of them have really left an imprint on their communities, and we're proud of the work they do, and we believe that they're changing lives.
Yeah, that's awesome. So within this district, you are district charter school organization. You are our executive director.
Yes.
And all of the different schools have this mission of empowering students to take charge of their education by connecting their individual needs and interests to a rigorous learning plan and creating self-motivated, responsible citizens, critical problem solvers, and lifelong learners. How does your role specifically, how do you see it doing that with the students or with the families or with the teachers?
I think my role is to keep my finger on the pulse and offer insights and direction in a way that people can see that every student is a guest of honor. And I think that if we focus on every student being a guest of honor and every family is a guest of honor, then we're closer to realizing what we want for every student. I don't think we can push a student to be what they want to be, but we can guide a family on the things that we think are important, coupled with what they think is important. And then we come to that great common ground of success for the student. And so it's interesting that mission statement and those words that you read, they still are clearly aligned to what we're trying to accomplish. We haven't changed course. We've just gotten better at the work we're doing. And I think sometimes we have to remind ourselves the work that we're doing is to serve the students in a way that elevates them and serve the families that elevates them and take away all the barriers that we put in place for the sake of the organization that actually are barriers to the students being successful.
Okay. And just just thinking about that mission statement a little bit more and beyond your role, how does it fit with your own personal philosophy of education or career or lifestyle? How does it mesh with what you believe about just being human, really, is what that question is how does this fit in?
Yeah, so I think I just want the people around me to be the best they can be, and I try to be the best person that I am. And I think that if I'm living a good life and I'm trying to be a good person, and if I can exemplify that in a way that's meaningful, then I'm hoping it gives at least something that we're trying to achieve for ourselves. And so if I'm doing it, I think it'd be great if everyone could also look at themselves as great people, as part of this greater ecosystem. And I think that I don't need to do it by taking myself seriously. I always remember when Mike McLean would always use me as his example. If Keefer can fix his computer, then you should know how to fix your computer. And I think that really exemplifies how I live my life, which is I want people to just enjoy life and be happy and find purpose and find joy in the little things. I've been mentioning to my one son who's trying to find a job, and I say, Lucas, Sister Teresa of Calcutta said, do the ordinary task extraordinarily well. And I feel like if we look at everything we do that we think is, I don't really like that part of my job, what if you made that part you don't like the most important part of doing it perfectly well? And that way you know that if that's going perfectly well, how much better the things are going to be that you do care a lot about. And so I say that to him because now he's working at a bakery in San Diego and he's trying to find a wealth management job, and he's 21, and little by little I can see he's taking the time to really be spend attention to the things that maybe aren't his favorite things to do.
Yeah, that's really neat to see in your own kids too, right? Where
sure.
It's part of maturing. It's figuring out what gives you joy and actually adds to who you are and how you engage with the people around you.
Yeah. And I think that we when you read what we've written here, having students know what they want to do, that's the incredible work our teachers do to show them, listen, this is where we are right now, but this is where we're trying to get, and we're going to do this together. So they realize this is really about them. A rigorous learning plan. I know where the students' gaps are, so I'm going to help fill those. As a school leader, I know where my team has gaps, and my goal is to fill any gaps so that they can be the best they can be. And it's not anything that they're doing wrong or right. It's just things that we're all trying to get in alignment. And so our gaps sometimes are communication, or our gaps are a different tactic to the same strategy. And it's our ability to just be collaborative warriors for each other. And I think that really came out this week. And it'll be in my latest edition of my new publication for this year to the staff. But it's to be collaborative, just collaborative coworkers, just always, and there's more to it. It was just great. So all the leadership team, anyone that's a supervisor was there, and it was just amazing as people were collaborating and getting the same message about how to bring the best out of everyone in the organization. And the best isn't my way, the best is our way. It's not each, it's every. And that came out loud and clear. That's each. It's not every. It's I forget which way it
was. It was not each, but every student.
It's not each, but every student. It's not each employee, but it's every employee. So how do we make sure they all are getting the same, not the same, but what they need in order to be great? Yeah. Thank you for helping me there.
Yeah, thank you. No, it was a very neat thing to be a part of a supervisors meeting where we were all together in one room, because that does not happen often in a school year, right? So neat to collaborate across the different schools and see how we're doing things similarly or different, but with that same goal in mind is really neat.
Yeah.
What is the most challenging part of your role?
I think, it depends on the day. When you start a new school, it has pressures. And I've done a lot of thinking, right? Here we got a school approved in June, and we're trying to find students for it. We have a great facility, and we thought that would be the answer, but we realize there's things we don't know. And what I love about the struggle is how much the team really noodles the challenge, and no one gives up. I mean, Luana is a warrior, and she never gives up. She keeps finding different angles. The people that we contract with that help us do this work, they keep finding different ways for us to look at it. And so I think that lightens the load. But certainly you get those moments where you're like, I don't know how we're going to get ourselves out of this. I mean, PCI's had some difficult times where we've had to do some real soul searching. How do we get around this obstacle? And amazingly, we get around it. And through the perseverance of incredible staff, I so appreciate that. And then other times where we had to move resource centers because we couldn't have them where they were. So Rio Valley and Heritage Peak swapped resource centers. Who would have thought of having to do that? And yet we did it so gracefully, and the team was so good at it. And parents were so accommodating, allowing us to do that work.
Very good. Yeah, so you're coming at those challenges in ways that we hope we're building our students to do as well, right?
Yeah.
They're becoming problem solvers, and they're learning how to do that well.
Yes, perfect.
What is the most rewarding part of your role? Why do you keep doing this year after year?
Yeah. I think I've not changed my mantra, which is I want to beat the system at its own game. And I believe that we can do that with our students in a way that our students will love coming to school. I love it when the students really own their moment in time. And every one of our resource centers has this. Every one of our schools, when you see the students, you can see they own the facility they're in because they get what they need to get done. They understand what they need to do, even the littles. And I think that is a clear demonstration that we can do this better. We have barriers in front of us, and we just keep knocking down those barriers. And the people we've hired all also believe they want to do it better than the system. Even you, Rebecca, and we've talked about it. Yeah. There's a project we're working on to do that work. So it's as I was told from Eric, a couple of years ago, the work we're doing, not a lot of people can stomach it, and that's true. And I feel like if I can stomach it, then I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, and the people that are part of it continue to do that, right?
Yeah.
So you've got a good team behind you.
For sure.
What did your education look like growing up, and even after high school? Give me the kindergarten through college.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah, I'm the fourth of four kids, and so I kind of my mom doesn't really remember me. I guess I was really secretive, and I mean she remembers I got in trouble a lot, but I think that I kind of went along for the ride. When I think about my favorite teachers, I don't really think I ever really had a favorite teacher. I always felt like I think I put up my own barriers, and I didn't really feel like I got reached in and had to have something. Even my high school. So I went to a public K-8, and then I went to a high school in San Jose, which was a private Jesuit school. I had to take the train every day. So I didn't make any strong relationships there. I always felt like I was kind of on the outside looking in. Nothing really grabbed me. And, that's partially me, but partially, why is the school not, reaching in and finding me, right? And I think that drives a lot of my work, is finding those areas of growth. I mean, I know, it's always about the student. How do we make them feel like they're connected and engaged? And it can't be fake, and it can't be, adult driven. The students are the ones that know what they like. The adults are the ones that pull it out of them and give them the confidence to say these things if they don't have confidence. And it doesn't happen in a day. So there's a whole K8, K12 where I'm like, wow, what am I'm along for the ride. I like some things in my life, but nothing's exemplary. I even tested very well to get into the school, the high school that I went to. But then it was like 4 years of I didn't apply myself, and so I finally applied myself. When I got to Davis, I said I'm gonna restart, and so I did a restart, and I found a major I liked, the work I liked doing. I made friends that I wanted to be around, and so yeah, it meant a lot to go to school and graduate, and then how I ended up being in charter school is absolutely ludicrous. I shouldn't even be here. I was working at UPS, and I was in management, and I was enjoying my work there and the people I was working with. And all of a sudden, my wife Betsy goes, "You got to be a teacher." I go, "Oh, okay." And so literally, I became a teacher, and that's when I started teaching. I was already teaching at University of Phoenix, and so I kind of was able to bridge that gap. And I got another job in between being a teacher. I was selling optical equipment, and I knew nothing about what I was doing. And I'm not handy, and yet I had to fix these machines, and I'm like a nightmare. And so we called it the time when I had a blue van. And during the blue van time, when I think I might have sold 8 of these pieces of equipment, it would create all the lenses you put in the frame, and it would trace it and make the lens, and here it is. It was like, but I was like, it was a tweener job. And then I got my credential at night at National, and then I got my first teaching job in the same district in which I was able to start the charter school as a district dependent, not prior to Heritage Peak. And so my wife suggested it, I did it, and then I got into charters immediately because I met Sonia Cameron, because I kept putting kids on detention because I didn't know what I was doing in the classroom, and I was terrible. And she came and says, "Paul, if you put Mooms on detention one more time, I'm going to beat you up." And I go, and she actually said a different word. There's a little more flowery.
Sure. Yep.
And I said, okay. And so when I was a first year teacher, I went from being the kids' friends and got walked over to being too strict. And then I was sent to Dolores Cook training, where I learned how to classroom manage. I'm like, this is so much better. And all the students thought I was an alien, because who is this person doing it this way?
Right.
And so I really loved being in the classroom. And
so
I loved
what grade level were you teaching?
I had a 4 or 5 combo, and it was like 15 ELs of Mien, which is like Hmong, and then Russian, Ukrainian students. To be in that environment and do the work, but I realized I was working off an old playbook. It was all scripted. The students were all over the place academically, and I'm so grateful for Tim and the work he's done to really help hone in on the cafe and hone in on what the students know a lot of things. How can we help them know the things that they still need to learn? Mm-hmm. And I think that would have been a game changer for me, because then in the classroom it wouldn't be powering through all this grade level content, and then somehow as a new teacher I have to figure out how to differentiate. And small group was always, it had the right intention of being group assignments, but it was just right. I wasn't equipped for it. And I think that what is happening at our New Pacifics and what's happening at our resource centers, what's happening with our small groups online like at Valley View and Sutter Peak, all those are huge innovations that we are moving the needle. That's what we're doing, and that's what I want to do. That's what I want to influence the traditional system to be. I mean, I see the traditional system still cranking out the same patterns. I'm working on, I'm always starting a book. And so right now a book I'm starting is why it's so, what it takes to get innovation from the state is they first developed their framework, and then they did. First, a law has to be passed to develop a framework, to develop guidelines, to develop a curriculum adoption, to develop a curriculum, to develop a pathway where it literally says publishers market their materials to schools. What is that when I know that every single person in our organization can go into ChatGPT or any other system and immediately find what that student needs right now? And yet we're going to spend millions of dollars to get us to a point which is no different than it was in 1950, 1940. It's ludicrous. And so we're breaking that. And then we want to break it, and then we want to share it. We want to break it, and we want to share it. And we want to be the best of the best.
Well, and that was kind of the purpose of charter schools to begin with, right? To go out and try new things so that then it could be implemented across the board in a traditional setting as well.
Yes.
And you've been doing this at PCI for 20 years. Have you seen any of that happen where what we're doing is now being translated to those traditional schools? Or are we setting up different barriers? What's your experience there?
Well, CCSA, Myrna from CCSA talked about how much we've influenced public education just by existing, the things they've had to do in order to compete with charter schools, everything from magnet schools to their own district schools of charter, or using systems, using tools that are available to them that now they're bringing on board. So they are doing the changes that we're seeing. Which is great. I mean, I think we know the system will be perfect when charter schools don't need to exist. But until that time, we're vital.
Right.
Their scores are going up because our scores are going up faster.
Okay.
But now we're at an inflection point because they're losing students. They're having declining enrollment, and we're growing.
Right.
We're going to crack 4,000 students this year. We're going to be 200 to 300 more students than we were last year, or 400 students more than last year.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's just because we open our doors, we hire great, we get great people here, and we have a great reputation. Every school has a great reputation on how their leader and their team have been able to build it around what the charter says and what is expected of them and how we want to accomplish the work we're accomplishing. I love the fact that we have so much individuality of schools and teachers that they can cross this finish line using the tools that equip them the best with clear guidelines of where we're trying to get to for every student.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fair deal to me. We need to improve student learning, and here's all the flexibility you have to get there. And these are tools that you can use to get there. And if you have other tools that work better, then go for it. But at some point, if the tools aren't working, you have to collaborate with the experts and be able to say, listen, it's not working. How many years are we willing to bang that nail before we realize I have a bent nail? I need a better nail to be put in there.
Right.
And I think that's where the rub happens. That's where the tension happens with staff. It's like, yeah, but PCI is saying, no, PCI is not saying anything. Here are your scores. Here's how the students are doing, and you're doing an incredible job.
Yeah.
Or it's here are your students, here are the scores, and how do we improve that? How can we make that more manageable for the parents and the students and the teachers so that they're able to accomplish this very difficult task that we're doing?
It's a very difficult task. Yeah. Well,
it's interesting. I was just, and I'm hogging a lot of airtime, but I was reading an article about Ford and how they're trying to move their EV vehicles, and they hired a couple of people who came from the Musk tree of Elon Musk. And one of the things that Elon Musk says is, the best part is a part I don't. It's something along the lines of the one part is not to have one more part. Meaning, and so they started casting it at Tesla, where they cast the whole chassis rather than having it riveted in all these different parts. And I think about that with our trust and our transparency that we want to build with Strategy One. And I think about how our PCI team is essential to take away parts that we don't need to use. And I think that's our goal. Our goal to help with Strategy One is to have every staff member have a voice on how do we get rid of parts so that we know exactly how to hone in without having to get distracted by extra work.
Yeah.
And so that's my commitment to every person that listens to this podcast. Is we are going to continue having a collective effort to collaborate with every staff member to get to that point.
Yeah.
And that, so it should be a lot of fun, and I hope everyone is open to participating because there's going to be a lot of opportunity.
Well, I mean, I think part of the reason we all go into education initially, whether it's as a teacher or as a staff member in some other way, is because we love the community, right?
Yes.
And it's so much more fun when you get to collaborate and you know that somebody else is having the same struggles or sharing your successes and celebrating with you. And so I think any opportunity to do that, we should keep doing for sure.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
Great.
I love it. Well, I've got a couple more questions and then we've got quick round questions. So my final official questions on here are, what advice would you give to a student?
My advice to a student would be to live in the moment and love themselves. And yeah.
I like it. And a colleague?
Live in the moment and love themselves.
I love it. Very cool. Here we go. Quick round questions. And these are ones that I like. So you can add anything you like to them. But quick round, what are you reading right now?
So I'm reading 2 books. One is called The Comfort Crisis, which is about how we're so comfortable being in discomfort can help us grow as humans. And the other is it's by Father Andrew Pinsent called Prudence, Justice, Courage, and Temperance. And so it's the 4 cardinal virtues. And so those are the 2 things I'm bouncing back and forth on.
Nice. When do you have time to read?
I don't read a lot, but I read every night.
Okay. Coffee, tea, or energy drinks?
Coffee.
Coffee. Okay. Ocean or forest?
Both.
And pine trees or eucalyptus? It kind of goes with it.
Pine trees.
Pine trees. Chocolate or sour candy?
Chocolate.
Everybody take note what to get Dr. Keefer. Do you prefer a text or a phone call?
Phone call.
And summer, winter, spring, or fall?
Fall.
That was very quick.
Yeah, I love fall. It's football season. It's when I do my cyclocross races. It's a new beginning. It's a new launch. I love that.
Very nice. And salty or sweet?
Sweet.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet chocolate. There we go. Thank you for coming and doing this podcast with me today and for driving down to Broadway and to meet and just tell all of PCI who you are and a little bit more about what makes you part of this organization and how it's supported.
Thank you, Rebecca, and thank you for taking the time to get our voices heard and spreading the word about what everyone's thinking so that everyone knows that they have a chance to have a voice.
Yeah.
And so hopefully this will inspire others to get on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. I know. Tag someone to contact me. We'll get the next one on there.
It.
So
you got it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining me on another episode of Hello PCI. I'm so glad you're here. Reach out if you'd like to be my next guest.